Hey everybody, this is Space Marine Steve, and I'm from Play on Tabletop, and you're joining us here on the deck of the Hyperspace Hobbies set, and I am with...
Oh, my name.
Good Lord. That was really smooth. We're going to try that one more time, just for the people out there. Hey everybody, this is Space Marine Steve, and I'm from Play on Tabletop, and I am here on the Hyperspace Hobbies set, and I am joined by...
Chris Powell with Mid-Table Tactics. We're on YouTube as well.
Yeah, and you do fantastic long-form battle reports. So unlike what we do over at Play On, where we do our 40K in 40 minutes and we edit it down, people can go to your channel and they can watch a full game of Warhammer, right?
A full game, casually competitive, tournament style with a clock. Kind of like Wargamers Live, but not Wargamers Live.
What does casually competitive mean? Like for those of us that are out there, like, and our audience varies, much like Play On's audience varies. It's like we've got competitive people out in our audience, but we also have more casual or narrative players. So what does casual competitive mean? Because those two terms kind of like bash heads.
Well, we're tournament players, so that makes us, you're going to be competitive on some level. And the idea of casually competitive is you care and you want to win, but you're not going to win at all costs. You're not going to give your opponent a bad game, but at the same time, you are going to advocate for yourself. Go to tournaments, we have fun, we party, and it's treated as a social event, but we do take our Warhammer seriously. Correct.
And the two of us actually just got back from the Tacoma Open. So for those of you that might not know, the Tacoma Open is Games Workshop's like one of their giant North American tournaments that they do. So we have a lot of thoughts coming back from this. Like, this was more games of 10th than I have played at all. Like 8 consecutive games.
Consecutive, yeah, pretty much.
Right?
Yeah, no, it was intense.
Yeah.
And there were a lot of people there from all different skill levels too, right? So there's people who were literally playing their first game of 10th.
My reflection point was, this is the most 10th that I'm going to play in a very short period of time, maybe even ever. 8 rounds is a lot.
8 rounds is a lot. I don't know if I'll do 8. I don't know if I'll do.
I don't know if I can do it.
Day three is intense.
Day 3 was intense.
We party.
But I learned a lot from these 3 days. And playing this much Warhammer in one very condensed period of time taught me a lot. And so I know that you probably walked away with a lot of thoughts as well. So the whole point of this video is Chris from Mid-Table Tactics and Steve here. That was perfect. When you did that and it dinged, I was like, wow. Steve here. Do you have that just on call?
Yeah, apparently my phone and my watch aren't mirroring the silent mode, right?
Okay, and the two of us are going to talk about, one, what we learned from the Open, and we're going to talk about peaks and valleys. We're going to talk about the highs and the lows of this tournament. What does 10th do well? What does the tournament scene in 10th do well? And what needs to be improved? So this is the best and the worst of the Tacoma Open. What stands out as the most egregious thing about the edition or about the indexes that needs to be addressed immediately?
Towering. Towering is an issue. If you look at their layouts, like you were there,
yeah.
The layouts are great. And then Towering takes all the things that are great about those layouts and just throws them out.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
It's just, I can see you can see me. I mean, it's a fair game, except for, you know, Knights are giant. They can see almost everything, and they can get angles on everything. And then a lot of the ruins didn't have the roofs on them. Like the one little band of roofs. So they could just stick a gun over and...
It is fine.
Yeah.
And funny enough, actually, so I was talking to a 10th player about his army, and something that he said was the rockets are actually better than the autocannons, but the autocannons are like almost 2.5 inches long, and they help your towering. And I was like, no. I mean, he's not wrong. No. Right? Like and it's not because I'm saying that that's the best way to do it or that's what you should do. I'm saying that when that becomes a topic of conversation, like, oh, well, you should take this because it makes the line of sights better.
Yes.
That is where the rule is wrong.
Correct.
Right?
It's too good and there's no negative.
It's too good.
They thought the negative is that you could get shot back. I think that's what they thought. It would go 2 ways. So, but it doesn't.
No.
It's not doesn't work that way.
For the negatives are they can shoot you back. They can't shoot you back if they're not alive.
If they're dead. I don't know what the fix is. Their current fix was to add points. they went around on the last little pass there they did before Tacoma, and they basically tacked on 40 points to anything that had the towering keyword.
Is that enough?
No. As we clearly not. There
Clearly
were a lot
not.
of Imperial Knights there.
To be fair to Games Workshop, it's not like they could make a difference in this time span anyways.
No, for sure.
Right.
I mean, what else do they don't, I mean, do you really want to do a core rule change this early in the edition? So they're going to use the lever that they have.
Which is points. And it's the fastest lever, and it does impact the game, right? Like, the problem is, like, I see points as almost like it's almost like a meter, right? Like, what happens is you have something broken, so we take an Imperial Knight, right? And suddenly you're like, we go from, it's so cheap, it's an auto-include, to auto-include. Yeah, they're pretty good. All right, these are pretty good. Yeah, I should take these. Yeah, I should take these. Yeah, I still take them, even though they're pricey. And then way over here, you have you never take it.
I'll never take it. And
right?
Unfortunately, it goes I'll never take it too easy sometimes.
Yeah, it does.
Right?
Yeah.
It's a fine tune. Unfortunately, that if you're going to fine tune something, unless you get it right on the first time, which you didn't, not yet, it's going to take several times, and it's only going to be every 3 months.
Yeah.
Right? So
something that really came to light in a lot of my games was some of the disparages in between the indexes.
Yes.
And there really are disparages between the indexes. And there's a lot of, I mean, you were saying it before we started, there's a lot of haves and a lot of have-nots.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
And in particular, like I just posted a video where I talked about the 0 CP abilities. There's armies that just don't have those.
They're amazing, though.
Right? They're amazing abilities.
Almost, I think,
right?
They could be too amazing.
They could be too amazing, right? And we don't know yet. It's too early, but they could be too amazing. But there's armies that have it and armies that don't, right? And there's armies that can easily sling characters into squads and armies that have to struggle to squeeze characters into places, right? There's armies that have just like unbridled access to devastating wounds. Huh. And there's armies that
devastating wounds is a whole other issue.
That's a whole other thing too, right? But there are some armies that have unbridled access to it, and there's some armies that are like, well, the best I got is lethal hits, right? Like,
right.
Which are still good, but it's not as good as devastating wounds.
No, and that's not even like at the index level yet. Like,
yeah, that's just
game
core
level.
rules.
That's core rules,
right?
Problems. But when we get to the indexes, and you've got Eldari, Imperial Knights, Thousand Sons, Gene Stealer Cult, and Custodes.
Yeah.
Even though they won the thing, I still put Custodes, I think, below those armies.
Anyway, so the disparage between the indexes, I think, is a big deal. Like, I don't love, looking at AdMech and being like, okay, Adeptus Mechanicus versus Eldar. I know what is going to happen. It almost does not matter.
No, foredrawn conclusion.
And it's bad, too, when you're like, all right, well, movement phase. Okay, well, your movement phase is Eldar's second best shooting phase, right? And then your shooting phase, when you shoot at the Wraith Guard, is their third best shooting phase.
And what's
right?
worse is they don't even have to shoot the unit that shot them. They're like, you shot me? Hey, guys over there, you're dead.
You're dead. So let's talk about the best things. Let's end this on a positive note. So let's take the second half of this little interview, and let's talk about the best part. So leaving Tacoma and our thoughts, the best parts of 10th Ed, because I will say this edition is growing on me.
I mean, I'm a big fan.
I'll share first because you shared first last time. I'll share first this time. My big takeaway from 10th and the Tacoma Open, I'm going to talk. I can talk endlessly about these terrain layouts that GW made in the Leviathan Companion.
Yeah, they're very good.
Oh my sweet goodness, I loved it, and I also like to go along with it. Really, that companion is the best part of this. Like, to me, the edition actually started when they gave us that companion, right? Because now I know this is how they see us playing the game,
correct?
Right? And there was more than enough line of sight. It was nice and dense. I felt the infantry actually could do something, right? Which felt great. Those terrain layouts, if you have not yet played on the terrain layouts, you don't even have to get them exact. You can get them like kind of close using the terrain you have at home or at your store. But putting terrain in all of those spots making it all effectively ruins, even though they weren't all ruins, making it so that those plates just block line of sight.
Yes.
It was perfect. It makes an addition that feels way too lethal, because it does feel way too
Less lethal, Steve.
No, it isn't. It is not less lethal. It is way more lethal. And it felt like I was going back to a game that was less like, let's see who goes first and who wins, and to more of a place of, if I was playing someone that didn't have a rule, that just ignored it, right? We went back to a game of cat and mouse, and a game of where you put your models matters.
Well, the numbers
how
came
you
out on
position.
that too. The win rate was close to 50-50 for first and second. It was like 49.5 to 50.5. Yeah.
That's beautiful.
That's
what I want to see.
It's because you could hide. I'm assuming a lot of that had to do with people that, the vast majority of the tournament was not full of towering models. So,
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Right? Because you can legitimately hide on those train layouts. They're amazing.
Yeah.
Excellent. Infantry keyword is amazing on those.
Infantry keywords, but you can even hide vehicles because they're wide enough. Like I had a repulsor that I was consistently hiding every single game.
Yeah, can you imagine that? Like, that was really hard to do last edition.
Yeah.
Especially in our local meta.
Oh, yeah. It was incredibly difficult to do. Whereas so now, okay.
Has some play. You don't blow up on the first turn.
Yeah, I actually got to use my repulsor for multiple rounds of a game.
Yeah,
that's
actually surprising.
That's actually surprising.
That is actually surprising.
So, what do you think? What is walking away from Tacoma? What is like your highlight? Like, what's your peak? Like, all right, I'm feeling great about 10th edition because.
Oh wow! See, there are so many things. Well, for one, we party. Games Workshop actually cares, and they had Stu Black.
Yeah.
Right there, the guy he was walking the hall amongst everybody, just stopping at tables, and that shows when you got your head lead developer.
Yeah.
Right there, trying to find problems.
Yeah.
And then what we think are problems and what in his vision, that might not always line up.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is, he was there. Games Workshop cares.
Yeah.
And that's pretty new for me from playing Games Workshop for a long time.
Yeah.
And then the tournament itself, like 10th edition. I mean, I think it's going in the right direction.
Yeah.
I mean, can you imagine trying to balance all those indexes? Like, sit down. Hey, Steve, what do you want to do all summer? You want to sit down and write every single...
Yes, actually, that's exactly what I want to do.
5,000 different index sheets. After a while, I can just see them going, what do we do with this guy? Just give him lethal hits. And then
just give him lethal hits.
There you go, they're done.
They're done. Right. You're like, dude, those were servitors. Just do it.
Do it.
Just do it. Devastating wounds also.
No, but Games Workshop caring is huge. Huge for me.
It has so much. There's so much to talk about.
Like tactical versus fixed. Like
we can go on forever, which we will not do. And on that note, what we will do is say goodbye. We talked about some of the low points of the edition that do need to be addressed pretty quickly, and we talked about some highs because there actually are some really positive things to walk away from it after Tacoma and looking forward into the edition.
I agree.
Yeah, and so from all of us here at Hyperspace Hobbies and
Mid-Table Tactics.
Yes, we bid you adieu. Have a wonderful night, wonderful day, wherever and whenever you are. Have a good one.
Take it easy, guys.
Bye.